Today on Cracking Cases. A search and rescue mission is a perfect example of a positive use of unmanned aircraft, or use of the technology. RP Flight Systems has responded to calls in a lot of various places in a lot of different situations. We're not out here to solve a crime. What we're out here to do is we're out here to find a victim. We're out here to find someone who's lost. And we let the proper authorities take care of the rest of the details when it comes to solving the crime or seeing if there was fault with anyone. So it has kind of purified our mission in the entire thing, is just to do that very one simple thing, is to locate that person. As the endurance continues with the multi-rotors, they will become a key player. Right now, the bulk of our missions are flown using the wing because, simply put, it can cover a lot of geography in a very short period of time. Okay, launching in 3, 2, 1. Good touch thing. And what we've tried to do is perfect a little at a time what we could do with that aircraft and push it a little bit further and a little bit harder and incorporate more technology into it. And it's flown right out of my hand, flown away, picked up the pattern that we've designated, and it's flown without fail every single time, perfectly. And then we decide, hey, it's time to land, flip a switch, the aircraft goes into its landing pattern, and it lands. Without human intervention. We've proven it. So we're moving it towards that day when you truly can say, I trust this aircraft. I'm going to throw it in the air and it's going to fly away and do exactly what I've informed it to do.
All right, guys, thank y'all for joining tonight. We got some special guests here with us. We got Gene Robinson from RP Search and we have Chris from First to Deploy. I'm going to introduce them right now. Let me unmute them and bring them up. Hi, Gene. Hello,
Hi, how
Chris.
are you?
Hey, Cam, how's it going?
Pretty
Hi,
good, y'all.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight, guys, and I'm glad we could make it happen. It's been a big day with birthdays and stuff going on, but we made this happen tonight, and that's what matters. But Gene, I wanted to let you introduce yourself, and I put all your information, guys. If y'all want to check out all of Gene's what he's doing, I put all of his information in the chat, his links, and Chris from First to Deploy. But I'll let Gene go ahead and explain who he is and what he does.
When you played that first video, no one will recognize that guy. He had hair and was young. So yeah, that was me. Believe it or not, that was me. And it really was more for an advocacy sort of film more than it was anything else. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to tell everybody, hey, we could use these things and we can use them for positive use, and they're getting better and better. Now, bear in mind, this was almost a decade ago, right?
That video was almost a decade ago.
Almost a day. I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago.
That video is intense. When you first watch it, you're like, man, it's awesome.
But that's where we were, that long ago. And it's really kind of taken us this long to get there. My history with that flying wing, the Spectra flying wing, goes all the way back to 2005.
Wow.
To say that I started from there, and one of the first things that I wanted to do was public safety. And we used the Spectra flying wing to do it. And we advocated for the use of drones, and we really had to go out and educate more than anything else and show people that, hey, you could use these things, and they're good for a lot of, different things other than search and rescue. But gosh, the search and rescue arena was just one of those compelling things that I thought, at the time it'd be a good thing to do. And I went out and I did my first search. And when I made my first find out there, I always tell people I fell out of that tree and hit 100 branches on the way down, because when I got to the bottom, I was so stoked by what the bird had just done.
Right.
I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't care, the building and all that is good, and trying to sell the aircraft, that's great. But I want to perfect this process. I want to be able to show people how to be able to use this thing in the field like this. And, from there, just like I said in the video, we're trying to do a little bit at a time, and we still are. I mean, we're learning as we go.
So you designed the Spectra?
I did. It was funny. I had a little bit of a operation on my neck back in 2000, and I found a paper that was written in 1969 by a NASA engineer. And I was laying there in bed recovering, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's lifting bodies or something. And everybody's got to understand, I'm an aviation geek. I've been flying something since I was 4 years old. And I'm happy to say that yesterday I passed my biennial flight review, so I'm still a certified general aviation pilot. I'm still got it, and still can go fly. So anyway, that's what happened. I started looking at that, thinking, gosh, that would be simple. It's easy to use, and gosh, let's see if we can make this thing work. And everybody told me, can't use a flying wing. It's too unstable. It'll never carry anything. You're wasting your time. Well, I bred all the bad habits out of it, and the Spectra ended up being a very successful, stable platform. It was just a little bit too far ahead of its time.
Right.
That's the only thing. But as we moved into, we built tricopters. Like in the video, Taylor's got a coaxial tricopter. Right, and it flew great, and it carried a heavy load. And I alluded to the fact that the durations were like 10 minutes on a copter. Now maybe even less than that at the time. And once the battery situation got better with lipos and
you can keep a quadcopter in the air longer, then yeah, they were going to become more viable. Well, they did more than become more viable. They're the darling now. Everybody is flying quadcopters. So, a little bit of a prediction there that came true. And we're continuing. I'm using copters now. I don't use many fixed wings. I know that we're going to talk about some fixed wings here in a little bit, but the circle's coming back around. I mean, we're seeing more and more of the hybrid type of aircraft, and there's some exciting stuff on the horizon for fixed wing and also for multi-rotors. So I don't go out as much in the field as I used to. I get called out on some high profile stuff, and I'm happy to go in it and help when I can. But I'm now decided to fall back into the teaching phase of it, and I'll get people like Chris in there to get out there in the field and feed me information, and I get to help him when he goes out in the field. And
he really looks up to you. He does. We talk a lot. He looks up to you a lot, and I know he values your mentorship. I know that's for sure.
Well, I needed a young whippersnapper to get out there and start running the road for me is what I did. So I'm just going to let him do that for me.
Speaking of, we saw your mobile command center. I'd had some pictures of it. I think Chris had shared them with me at one point. I have another picture of it. I'll see if I can pull it up in a minute. But that's awesome. Like you can really, you can really just do the whole thing, and you can take out. You got a lot of room. Is basically what I'm trying to say. You can do a lot in there. I didn't realize that. That yours is an amazing. It's got the big screen. I'll see if I can find it here while we're talking in a minute. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the battery power too. Chris had showed us his 4 batteries and how big they were on the last slide. What is about the flight time that you're getting, like the max amount that you can get?
On which aircraft, which airframe?
So I think what he's referring to is on the Matrice 200, you got the TB55 batteries.
Right. Okay. Most of your a quadcopter has to beat the air into submission to fly, right? So they're going to have a lot less duration, and we're flying the TB55s as Chris said. Those typically give us, depending on payload, what we're flying, how heavy the camera is, we can get anywhere between 25 and a little over 30 minutes. If the wind is up, you start coming down because, again, it has to fight the wind. But when we started out, we were actually doing successful missions with 10-minute batteries. So by the time we got to 25 minutes, it was like, oh my, wow, this is great.
We are also powering not only the helicopter itself. Is that what you call it?
The quad rotor or
quadcopter. You have to power it to fly, but plus all the extra things, your thermals, your RFID, all that. So that's not bad, to be honest.
It's really not, and that's the current battery technology that we have. But there are new chemistries on the horizon that are coming up that will give us 2, 3, 4 times the energy density. And you've already got copters that'll fly 45 minutes to an hour.
Right.
Which, you can cover a square mile in a search in 20 minutes.
People are asking, right. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was gonna ask you, me and Chris had kind of talked about some questions. I was gonna ask, they just finished up a ground search yesterday for summer whales, and it lasted 2 days. What kind of technology would you feel would be, I guess, in best interest for her case? What would work the best because of what they're saying, they're looking out in that terrain, and it is so dense. We've been on multiple ground searches ourselves with it, and we know it's easier for you guys when the canopy falls, but not so much for us. But I want you to explain that if you could.
Yeah, one of the things that we always try to convey, except when you are encountering kudzu, typically trees, when they lose their leaves, or even in the wintertime, the branches become more sparse. and we can see pretty much down to the forest floor. You're looking for, gosh, just any trace evidence, anything that is of color, of any color other than the greens and beiges of the forest, right? And Chris may have already alluded to some of the software that we're using that will be able to pick out some of those colors, which has been a huge boon. But having been on the ground doing that shoulder-to-shoulder search with individuals, it's extremely difficult to maintain that sort of discipline and the grid, if you will, because you have to go around things. You have to go to over stuff that you don't really want to go over or through or that sort of thing. So you end up at the end of the day, you know, we're human. You're going to go around the hard parts.
Right.
And, you know, that's typically where the parts that you don't look is where your object that you're looking for is going to be, and for a number of reasons. So the ground search versus the aerial search is, you know, the ground search can be much more efficient or more effective, not efficient, but effective at clearing territory than the aerial search can, because we can't look under trees. We can't look under bushes. We can't, you know, try to dig anything out like that. But by the same token, because we have to go around obstacles on the ground, that's why you can still miss stuff. And one of the things that I always tell people, if I'm running or if I'm being a search coordinator, if I have a team go out, I'll ask them, okay, the area that you just went through, if I had placed 10 objects out there, how many would you have found? And if they come back and they say, well, you know, 7, 8, maybe, because, you know, I've got, you know, kudzu, or I've got this, or I had creek, or this, that, and the other thing, that means that you've got a 30% chance of missing your object, right? I mean, that's just as simple as you can put it.
Right.
But if you got a team that comes back and says, oh yeah, 100%, we'd have found them all, then you could be confident. And that's how you mark out your grid as you're progress through the resources in a search. Start with the high bird, high pictures, take aerials, scan those, send in a lower bird, try to get ID on whatever you found. Once you do that, you give, we used to call them a hasty team. You can't call them hasty teams anymore because that connotes kind of being haphazard.
Yeah.
So it's now we call it a rapid response team, and they will go out there and actually lay eyes on the thing that you found.
Well, and speaking of rapid response team, you know, Chris has kind of told us why it's so important that you guys can get out there. And I can't remember how long you guys say. I know there's a golden hour for stuff. Would you like to go in a little bit on that and why it's important you guys can get out there and what you can do when you're called in first
before any ground searchers are out there?
Right.
Well, some of the things that we've developed, you don't actually have to find what you're looking for. You need to be able to look at the area that you're searching and pick up clues. I mean, it's very much kind of detective work, but we have been led to our victims simply because we could see a trail through the grass from the air that you wouldn't have picked up if you would have been standing there looking at it.
I actually, if you want to, I can pull this up right here and it shows just what kind of technology you guys have. Let me see here. This right here, the tracks and.
Yeah, actually, you can see where somebody's been doing donuts there.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of trace evidence that you need to preserve and you need to be able to utilize, and putting the pieces together in an intelligence puzzle is basically what you're doing. And I'm basically using some of my past military experience to collect enough clues to build a picture.
Right.
A perfect example of this, we got called in on a triple homicide and we flew several areas, and my wife was squinting the pictures, going through the pictures, and she said, "Look, there's some tire tracks in this field. We need to go check those tire tracks." And they turned, went down a fence, went to, near a ditch, and there was a culvert, and then kind of circled back around and went back out a gate. Well, we sent a crew down there, and they looked in that culvert, and guess what? They found the backpack, the murder weapon, the diaries, the whole 9 yards. And, that was just from trace evidence. And then from that, they got another clue from all the stuff that they recovered as to where the perpetrator went. And they ended up, getting the guy. But that was just trace evidence. We didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. My wife saw the tire tracks.
Right. Well,
So little things like that can mean the difference. So if you jump everybody out there and you say, "Oh, let's go look real quick," and you got people stomping through everything,
yeah.
your entire scene is destroyed.
Right.
I'm glad you said that. Because we've been covering some stuff that's I don't know if it's been a problem or not. We're waiting to see back on some, maybe those kind of issues on some other cases we're looking into. But so I wanted to ask you, we kind of got some footage. We were out there when they did those searches the other day. They had a drone tent set up, and I wasn't able to see what they were using. I didn't see them flying around. I'm sure, and if TBI's out there, I'm sure they have technology that is on point. I know they had the planes flying, all that. I'm glad that there was I'm glad that happened after the leaves have fallen. I'm glad that the areas that they went into, because I don't know if we've talked about this or if Chris has filled you in, but we were planning to do some drone work out there this coming up week, and they kind of checked off some boxes for us. So we're that's a good thing, though. Where every area that's been searched that they don't find her, I guess, is more of kind of a proof of life for at the time being. I guess you could look at it that way. We're I'm just glad that these people are coming together. I'm so glad that we've met Chris. I'm glad that I'm able to meet you tonight. These are kind of good relationships that you want to have made when you do the work that you do, Gene and Chris does, and we've met Nita Diver and just awesome people through this. And where are you from? Texas? Is that where you're from?
Just outside of Austin, Texas, yes.
And I'm sure you guys have. It's one of the biggest. It is the biggest state in the United States, right? In the lower 48.
And the lower 48, yeah.
Right. So you have probably a plethora of cases out there that y'all work. Yeah, I know the news is crazy there, and I'm trying to get over my nerves right now. Y'all bear with me. I'm nervous. A big interview for me right now.
Oh, Gene. Well, it's like I was telling you earlier, man. Gene's just another guy. He's just probably smarter than all three of us put together. That's all.
No, I've just learned a lot. That's the
okay.
That's the key.
And we were talking about being the first one to respond to a case, and I wanted to go into a little bit more detail with that, Gene. That's kind of where we got the name of my organization, First to Deploy. Gene wrote a book about the importance of a drone being the first on scene, and that's something that I want to put into action. And that's why we talked about on our last show being able to create a mobile command unit and have all of the tools that Gene has in Texas up here in Tennessee. So we can be the first ones on scene, and we can see those things that, wouldn't be seen if the area had already been trampled by several searches. Gene, I'd like to go into a little bit of, some of the programs that we use, specifically Locate. I'm sure Cam would love to hear about that, and some of the other camera technologies that we use with different spectrums of color. I think that would be great for the audience to hear, and some of the things that we're working on.
Okay, and there's tons to talk about there.
I've actually got, that was my son, sorry. I've actually got locate. If y'all want to go check out, that's in the link in the description, all their information, but I'll let y'all go ahead. I was just going to add that part.
I had, in a past life, I was a computer geek. Well, I still am a computer geek. I'm kind of I was a programmer though, and I dealt with database. But I knew when I started doing search and rescue and I started looking at digital images, I said, there's got to be a way to have a computer look at these things and pull stuff out. Well, that was change analysis. In the early days, it was change analysis, and there wasn't anything such as AI or any of that. Okay, I'm that old. But you know, to be able to pull that stuff out. But I figured that there had to be a way of doing it. And I tried several times with several programming houses to pull it out. And I got close a couple of times, but it just wasn't there. And then I was introduced to the program Locate. And I saw it and I said, oh my word, this is what I was trying to get to. And I contacted them and I said, I don't care what it takes. I want to be involved, whether, you know, if you don't let me, I'm going to bug you until you let me, because this is something I've been looking for.
Right.
And they did. They very graciously allowed me to come in, and it was kind of a rocky start with the company that owned Locate. But I ended up working directly with the developer, who is Canadian of all things, and his name is Shane Michaels. And he developed this on his own. He has his own, believe it or not, he has his own search group out there. It's called Wings of Mercy. And we'll probably need to start including him in the conversation. Now, Shane is a good programmer, and he would really rather not talk to people, you know, on the media and that sort of thing. And so he's kind of leaving that to let me, you know, toot his horn for him. But he's put together this package that, as we started working with him and started adding features to it, I brought my experience from the field and said, you know, hey, we need to be able to do this or that or so on and so forth. And bam, he made it so number one. It was done. You know, we started pushing it forward with newer features on it. And it's become this package that is really intuitive and easy to use, because color is so subjective, right? Your red may be somebody else's maroon.
Right.
So, you know, it's, and then you got people like me who are colorblind of all things, right? I'm red, green, yellow colorblind. So yeah, sometimes I get out of the house with some pretty funky clothes on because I don't do well with color matching. But you know, it's you know, it's just one of those things, and you can get rid of all the subjectiveness by saying, you know what, I've got a color that is 3 digits, 3 numbers, RGB, red, green, blue, from 0 to 255. That's the only way a computer can see a color, right?
Right.
That's the way the software works, and it is phenomenal. So what we've done is Shane has worked with his programmers to get it to the point where dummies like me, you know, who can't see red, you know, can put in some numbers and it works, right? And not only will it circle, or it'll scan 20 megapixel images at the rate of 2 per second.
Wow.
Okay. And Chris will tell you, we can go out and we can zip off 500, 600, 700 images in one flight.
Wow.
And when you're using the standard issue Mark 1 eyeball to look at each one of those pictures, oh my God, that's why I don't have any hair, because it is such a chore to get through that. And my wife, I swear to God, she is the best squint in the world, because she will find stuff that I will completely miss. But the thing is as good as she is, it takes her about 2 minutes per picture. So if you got 500 images, that's 1,000 minutes. Let's see, carry the 1, that's like hours, right?
Right.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah. Is this the same that you were talking about, Chris, that does this program, can it pick up a picture of the size? What was it, an inch?
Yeah.
Said?
So And I'll talk a little bit more about that. The past few days, I've been out trying to work on some things. Every time I get a chance, I go out and I try to put together a new scenario to see maybe how far I can push this program, how much we can get out of it. And, hopefully in the future, when we're out on a case, we can use that and say, hey, I've done this before. So I went and, to a local store and bought just some multicolor bibs, like you'd put on a baby. And I went out to a park, had a wooded area. I threw those things under some trees. And then I said, you know what? There's a couple of them that I'm going to throw leaves on. So I threw some leaves on them. And then I put my drone up in the air and I let it do its thing. I started mapping the whole area really quickly. Took about 5 minutes to do. And then I started running those pictures through Locate. And from 200 feet in the air, we were finding every single bib that I had hidden. It was fantastic. And Cam, actually, I think that I was so excited about what I had done that day. I called you up.
Yep.
And I said, man, you got to see this. You got to see what I done today. And I showed you, I said, look at this. Look at what I found. And so you saw that. It's fantastic. And it's only going to get better. The more we go out, the more we try to figure out what we can do with it. The more people like Gene works on this program and, with Shane developing the program and taking some of Gene's ideas, it's going to be fantastic for search and rescue in the future. It's going to be a game changer. And I could see where, a day that there's not a law enforcement agency that doesn't use this program.
Right. And you guys are so much more intelligent than I am. I was sorry, Gene. I was carrying on or was listening to what you were saying. I just wanted to make sure that I was on the right program that he was talking about. I kind of felt smart for a minute. I was like, is that the same thing he was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's awesome stuff. And that's why y'all guys do that stuff. And I sit right here and do this. And then where everybody will let me tag along.
And yeah, Cam, we recently, Gene's had it for a while now, but we recently added some new technology to my organization. I'll let Gene go into that a little bit. It has to do with different spectrums of color and what we can do. It is fantastic. Before Gene goes into that, Shannon looks like she asked, can these recognize shapes too?
Not yet, Shannon, but we are working on that. We have got several things that we are going to attempt that are in the research and development pipe, but not quite yet.
That's awesome.
It's all right. It's still on the way, though. It's coming.
But what Chris is alluding to there is that, and I kind of creep people out when I tell people this, but we're working. Unfortunately, the world has gotten to the point where a lot of our searches end up becoming recoveries of homicides. And that's kind of driven us to go to some other like Spectra to try to find clandestine graves, because there's so many of those that are occurring these days. I've been working with Texas State University at the Forensics Anthropology Research Facility, which we kind of lovingly call the Body Farm. It's one of the largest in the United States. It's 35 acres out on a nice big ranch in Texas, and people volunteer to have their remains donated to science, and we put them out there and we watch, see what happens to them, right? So we discovered back in 2015, I got to looking at some different spectrums of light and found out that near infrared, which is still in the visible and it is not thermal. You hear people talk about infrared or FLIR, that's thermal. We're talking about visible light, but it's in the upper part of the red spectrum. And that's okay, Ken. Look, you're still with it. Looking around, but you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
So anyway, I had a camera converted, a little point and shoot Panasonic camera that I converted to near infrared. And if you want to get really geeky about it, it's in the 660 nanometer light range. And it makes vegetation look extremely different than what you would see with normal eye. It's almost black and white, or actually you can go toward the red stage. And if it's really, really healthy vegetable or vegetation, it turns white.
Right.
And if it's not healthy, it turns black or a darker color. So what happens is when somebody gets laid out there, did we lose Chris again? He'll be back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
He tried to blame
There
it
he
on
is.
me.
I thought she accidentally hit a button that time.
I
There he is.
apologize. Go ahead, Gene.
Okay, bud. We're just popping in and out.
I'm hanging on. I'm just
I
going to grab
know.
the corners right here. Okay,
You got
I'm
it out of
hanging
your system before we went live. He was popping in and out. Go ahead.
So anyway, long story short, we discovered that we could see graves that were 4 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, it was quite the eye opener. So we got a grant from the NIJ here 2 years ago, and we are now taking that even further. And we've had our cameras. Chris is about to get his camera back for being converted. We're going to do it in the 700 nanometer range and flying in our newer birds, and they're specific. Dr. Murray Marks. Dr. Murray?
Yep.
I don't know everybody there. Dr. Westcott is the director over the facility, and I work with him. But so the aircraft that we're using now have those in them, and we were watching, and it's amazing the difference that you can see between disturbed earth, just disturbed earth. And something that you would never give a second thought to. As you're looking at pictures, you can say, oh, well, there's some dirt here, dirt there. But when you see it in context, and it is the nice oval shape, and if it has any vegetation around it, we call it a cadaver decomp island. And it is very distinctive if you know what you're looking for, I guess. But if you know what you're looking at, as you go through this and you see these things, you can't miss it. Right now, my eye, when I look at them, if it's there, it's done. It's a done deal. So we're continuing that research as well. Chris is getting his camera converted so that he can put filters over it. I have one camera that way. It's a manual point and shoot camera, but his bird is actually going to be able to use filters. So we can go all the way up and down through the light spectrum. I think there's like a dozen filters or 10 filters, is it, Chris?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you can change those out based on what conditions you're in. So, I mean, we're continuing that. And then another thing that was really kind of an eye opener for us is that we use thermal FLIR all the time. Chris has got one. I've got a couple. For nighttime, it's great to do. But if you're doing anything that's needs some real close scrutiny, a thermal is a gross instrument. I mean, when I say gross, it's not yikes, it's not ugly gross. I mean, it's a very rough instrument because the resolution is not that good. And being able to convert that to something that your eyeball can detect is kind of clumsy. So again, go back to my buddy Shane, and he said, there's got to be something we can do with that.
Tell me Shane's info, and I can get my my manager Natasha will put his info too in the chat.
Well,
what was his organization called?
Wings of Mercy.
Wings of Mercy. Natasha, if you don't care to see if that you can find that link and put it in the chat for everybody.
Oh, I should have seen that over here. Yeah, what's the guy's org called right there? I'm not paying attention. Sorry, Natasha.
Yeah, you're okay.
Focusing on what's in front of me. But anyway, he's come up with RDT, which is radiometric detection tools, and it essentially does the same thing that locate does, but with thermal. So you can say, here's the problem. Out in Texas, it gets to be 100 degrees, right? And, if you have somebody out there and they're going to be the same temperature as the ground, it's very difficult to see. Or they could be cooler.
Right.
So we're now setting this thing up so that it will show in increments above and below what the ambient temperature is. And this is something that you don't get out of FLIR. Because they're just trying to show you differences in temperature. And then we can take that radiometric data and get it down to 2 decimal points. And here I'm geeking out on you again, but you can get it down to 2 decimal points. Whereas if you're looking at it on the screen, you're looking at like 2 degrees.
It does.
Degree.
Is near infrared? It works on the ultraviolet light spectrum, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I thought that I actually asked Chris about this when he told me. I know they use near infrared in other things that I've seen. I can't think of an example right now. I'm kind of consumed by search and rescue at the moment, so that's all I can think of. But the ultraviolet spectrum, you can pick up things that you could never with anything else. Like it is amazing technology.
That's actually the other end. Ultraviolet is the other end. Infrared is the upper end. So with the camera that Chris has, he can go all the way to the ultraviolet side. So if we end up finding something that is very detectable on the ultraviolet side, he'll be ready to go.
Right. Let's see here. This a good question right here? Do you guys know that?
Angie, yes, we did use the near infrared. When I was there, we flew my near infrared over the area.
And speaking of body farms, guys, people don't realize there is one right here.
Yeah, very
in
local.
Knoxville.
Yes, that's actually where Dr. Murray Marks works.
Yeah,
There
that's
you
the
go,
one.
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
call.
Good catch, Chris. I was like, what?
I-
I had never heard of that person.
Yes, he is in Knoxville.
And the body farms really do bring a lot of information.
A lot. Yeah.
And helps to advance. Even my wife was a nurse. I know that it helps them in stages with knowing about what is it, like chemicals they release and
Well,
everything.
yeah, it just teaches us all about how the body,
How the body breaks
yeah,
down.
how it breaks down. And we tried, and this is when I was in nursing school, we actually tried to talk our instructors into letting us go on a field trip there, but they wouldn't let us. So
Yeah.
more
One
than
thing
not.
that I'm hoping to eventually make happen, and I've got a few people that are already trying to work on this, is getting in touch with Knoxville and seeing if we can do the same thing that Gene has going on in Texas.
There you go.
And do it here in Knoxville, because the fact is, Texas is a different place than East Tennessee. Completely
Very
different place. How'd it feel, Gene, getting off that airplane here in East Tennessee? I'm sure it was different, right?
Well, not only that, but when you consider the geography, your dirt is different than my dirt, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's a variable that changes the entire equation, and you've got to start looking all over again. And we recognize that right up front. Geekaholics, yes, I'm a geek. Yeah,
Same here.
I'm a witness. I'm a geek. All of those variables have to be discovered. We've talked about actually Australia has a forensics anthropology facility that they work the same sort of thing that we're doing there, and we share information with them. I've thought that the mountains, the West Coast, the desert, all of those areas need to be researched.
Right.
Because in the mountains and the high Sierras, a person really doesn't decompose, they desiccate, they mummify.
Wow.
So
because it's so
entirely
arid, right? Is it because of the arid temperature?
Yeah, and it's the humidities are so low. I mean, if there's no animal predation, and I hope we're not freaking people out when we talk about this, but I mean, it's a reality that we have to deal with.
Right.
And we have to learn this stuff to be able to collect the clues, if you will.
Right
All
on.
right.
Guys, I'll let you. Where y'all want to go from here? Do you want to go with with Chris, the information with the?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we discussed a little bit before this live about a drone that's kind of top notch. You know, me and Gene, we have the near infrared, and there's not many others. As a matter of fact, Gene, tell me if I'm wrong. I think it's just in the United States, me and you, and maybe one more that's using it for this purpose.
Well, for this purpose, yeah, maybe a couple more, because the MicaSense Red Edge has 5 spectrums that it will take a picture of, and it has a near infrared image, but it's only like a 3 megapixel, which is, that's the problem there. We need much higher resolution, and we've got high resolution near infrared cameras.
Yeah,
I don't know how many other people have them, but I'm sure there are, because they use them for agriculture.
Right.
Not for search and rescue or, detecting clandestine graves like we're doing.
Right. So one thing that not a lot of people have right now, and we've done some research on it, is the Autel Dragonfish. It's one of Autel's most expensive drones. It is for search and rescue. Cam, if you want to go ahead and bring up that video, we can kind of take a look at that and talk a little bit about it. It was actually used in the search for Brian Laundrie. They did not locate him with this drone, but they did use it extensively down there at the Carlton Reserve when trying to look for him, and mainly because it's able to cover so much ground. And so go ahead, Cam, and you can pull that video up.
I will. I was going to let you answer that real quick, and before he says there any.
Oh yeah.
Go right ahead. There is certain military intelligence that we don't have access to, but there is certainly some out there. Just like FLIR, for the longest time, we couldn't get the 640 by 512 FLIR simply because that was the purview of the military. The military now has HD FLIR, which we do not. And we won't until our military gets something even better. So that's the way it is. We get the hand-me-downs, and then from there, it has to be redeveloped.
Right. Let me see here. All right, guys, I'm going to mute it for a minute and let this play.
This episode of Airborne Unmanned, Lee County Sheriff first to deploy Autel Dragonfish. Also, Mission Go and LLF demonstrate transport for quicker blood laboratory testing. And the MQ-25 scores another milestone with E2D refueling. Welcome to the Air News Network's Airborne Unmanned program, a weekly news program covering all things unmanned in partnership with AVSI, the Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International. Hi, I'm your host, Kimberly Kay. Lee County Sheriff's Office in Fort Myers, Florida, has officially become the first law enforcement agency in the nation to own a Dragonfish, an advanced eVTOL fixed-wing drone. Developed by Autel Robotics, the Dragonfish has a unique tilt-rotor design that allows it to take off and land vertically, enabling deputies to deploy it from anywhere within 10 seconds and stream footage back to their real-time intelligence center immediately. Officials from the Sheriff's Office said they were primarily drawn to Dragonfish because of its 2-hour flight time, which by far outmatches the 20-minute flight time by most of the other drones in its fleet. The longer flight capability will enable operators to use Dragonfish to locate missing persons and track wanted subject in place of a helicopter, minimizing the demand on the agency's aviation unit and allowing more calls to be handled simultaneously. Unlike the other drones in the Sheriff's Office fleet, Dragonfish also has a top speed of 67 miles per hour and can fly up to 18 miles away from the operator. The unit is also equipped with a 4K optical zoom lens and an infrared camera, which provide a crucial advantage when responding to calls at night.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. That's an amazing drone. Gene, let's talk about using that as far as, is that able to be used with locate? I know I heard them talk about a 4K zoom camera on it. So do they have a still camera on it as well, or?
Yeah, that little ball turret on there will do
Mhm.
both. And as everybody knows, a 4K image is only 8 megapixels, right? So
Right.
a lot of people think, oh wow, 4K video is a great, you should use that. No, you really shouldn't, because if you can take a 20 megapixel image, that's 3 times the resolution that you get out of a 4K video. So they did mention that they had infrared on there, so they're running probably a 640 by 512 FLIR sensor on there, along with probably a 20 megapixel still imager that will also do 4K video. So typical, kind of a standard payload for a drone is that package, and I'm sure that that's exactly what they're doing. And of course, they stream it back down. Now, the interesting thing about locate is they could take that live video stream and they could actually analyze that live video stream as it's coming down. So while they're flying it around, they could have the station set up, and it would find at 200 feet any object that was 4 to 5 inches on the ground, it would detect.
Wow.
Wow.
So it just keeps getting better as we go with working with locate and Shane. So there's a lot there. As far as the Dragonfish is concerned, its selling feature is, one, it's VTOL. It takes
Right.
off it lands just like a quadcopter. You don't need a prepared landing space other than an area that's at least wingspan to be able to get it up and out of. And 2 hours in the air. You got long loiter times, long persistent stare. That's what law enforcement is looking for.
Right. And, this is, I think, would be a great question. I'll let you guys talk about this. What does this do, this technology? I mean, it's all amazing stuff. What can it do if used properly for missing cases and for cold cases as well? I mean, like, you guys can come in I'll just let you go on and talk about that. Like, why this is so important and why it can make such a big difference.
Well, I mean, for me, it just does nothing but is more advocacy and more capability for us to get it out there. It needs to be more widely accepted. There are still a lot of folks that are afraid of drones. The hybrid aircraft that we're looking at just is a natural progression to the aircraft that where everybody's going to go to, really, when you get right down to it. There are certainly, from the patrol level, a Mavic is perfect. You need 20 minutes to go check out something. After that, you're either calling SWAT or you're going home.
Right.
You can't get it resolved in 20 minutes. So there will always be a place for that. This particular case where they flew the swamp there, I'm wondering what happened there, because that individual's remains were found not far from the entrance.
Right.
And of course, we have no idea what the situation was. Did he crawl under anything? We have no idea what that is, but it has me scratching my head. What did they miss?
Yep.
Right.
I never thought about that, Gene. I mean, we're talking about this big bad drone, $150,000 drone. And this man was located right inside the entrance here.
Yeah. And, Chris, you and I have talked about this, and there are a lot of people that put a lot of effort, and myself included, into search plans. What is the best way to attack this thing? I mean, it's basically a campaign. And I've changed my view to where, I want to start out covering as much territory as I possibly can, right? Let's get it gridded. Well, I've kind of changed my view on that. And now I'm looking at access. Okay, if there's a road that runs through your area, go fly it first, right? I mean, come on. This is common sense.
Yep.
I mean, if it doesn't make any difference whether it's a homicide or a runaway or anything, they're going to go easy access for as far as they can, right? I mean, that's human nature. You're trying to get away as quick as you can. You're just wanting to take the easy path out. So fly that road first, then come back and do your grid. Because one of the things that Robert Coster's book and even we can anecdotally say is that a lot of the victims that we find are 30 yards from the road. So
Right.
why not fly the roads first?
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's great. That's great information.
it really is. There's you know, with the cases that I know that you, sorry guys, woo, about pulled my whole computer off there. I know that you, Chris, had worked on, you know, and thank God for this. Tegan was found safe. You had flew for that, right, Chris?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
and you flew for Summers, and Gene did too. Do you have plans of coming back down here, Gene, or doing anything if they need
Well,
you?
now, of course, I'm always available. But now that I have my Padawan learner here in, Tennessee,
Right.
It's easy to do. We've all gotten used to being able to handle things via Zoom, right?
Yep.
That's one thing that the pandemic did teach us. So, I mean, we are literally a phone call away. And he can stand up there with his cell phone and says, this is what I've got. This is the environment that I'm up against. What do you suggest? I can go ahead and suggest all kinds of stuff. And then, it's up to him to successfully execute. So, yeah, sure. I'd be happy to come, but I could just as easily do it via Zoom or the phone or whatever and get it done quicker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
remote.
Don't have to wait on you to fly up here. Don't have to, all the logistics. And there's a lot involved, guys. A lot of behind the scenes that people don't see.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you, when it comes to flying with these TB55 batteries, it's basically a no-go, right, Gene?
Yeah, you end up having to ship those ahead of yourself. And then, of course, you're subject to all the vagaries of UPS and Federal Express and where they decide to route it to Timbuktu while you're in Tennessee, So, yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've had that happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just had it happen recently, guys. It really did. We had a, very costly equipment that was shipped to an address up here, and somehow they ended up putting it several addresses, several houses down. And let me tell you, me and Gene were extremely worried that day. Like we were worried that it was going to turn out pretty bad. And thank goodness the person that lived in that house was, someone that we knew. And he brought the package up, said, "Hey, I got this package for you." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, you don't even know what's in this package, but thank you so much." and it just happened. So, and that kind of proved a point to me. Me and Gene had several conversations before that, and he's like, I don't feel comfortable shipping this stuff. And, at first I'm like, well, why not? I've never really had issues with shipping, but I see what he means now. I could not imagine, and we've talked about this on the last stream, taking 2 of those $500 a piece batteries, throwing them in the mail, and then never seeing them again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That is huge. Especially, it does. Especially, someone like me with an organization that we're just trying to get going. And, we've got maybe, 2 to 3 sets of batteries that we can use. And if you take one of those away, it's really going to hurt. And so the logistics behind bringing someone like Gene from Texas all the way to Tennessee is a lot more than just putting him on the plane and getting him here. And I agree with Gene. If we can do this via Zoom or, another program, I know me and Gene's talked about it before, how we can basically do the same thing we were talking about with the Dragonfish. We can get my drone in the air and we can have him remotely view on my PC and help go over the same thing that I'm going over. And, that's just as good as the man being here. And Gene is, he's teaching me a lot of stuff every day. We talk a whole lot. I fully expect that one day, I will have the same knowledge and skill as him to make sure that we can do the same thing here in Tennessee. We're already on the way.
I would like to
Go
That's
ahead.
the reason I pulled it up, man, because I knew you could answer this. I already knew you could answer it.
Yeah, I have 3 recoveries of individuals who were submerged. And one of those was in the Houston Ship Channel. And if you've ever seen the Houston Ship Channel, it looks like chocolate milk. It is that nasty.
Wow.
And I still found that individual. It was really kind of interesting. It was the very first picture of the very first flight that I took in the shadow of downtown Houston over the Ship Channel. And I found that guy, and he was 3 feet below the surface of the water.
Wow.
So sorry, I can't, I know that the Everglades have a lot of really pristine water.
Yep.
Because that's what the Everglades do. It filters out all the junk, right? So I'm still wondering, I would love to see, if they flew over that area, I would love to see the picture of that area. Because I guarantee you, I would almost guarantee you that he is visible below the surface, but it's just.
There's a lot of questions about that case.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
and that's
I would say
and
that
it is
they've
an
already
active
done that.
investigation.
It is. Yeah.
So nobody's going to say anything. We're not going to hear anything until the investigation is closed.
That's right. Let's see there's people saying, I'm trying to find some good stuff to throw up here. Guys, I wanted to tell you guys, if you want to check out everything that Gene has, go over to rpsearchservice.org. And if you would like to donate to the cause for him, go over there. Chris, I got all their information pinned in the chat. His as first to deploy. Chris, I'll let you go ahead and tell your stuff, and I'll let Gene tell his stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad you got that right. Gene says that a lot. He has to correct people a lot of times. It's not search services. And searchservice.org. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, you did. So yeah, my website is ftdsearch.org. Again, that's ftdsearch.org. So if you want to go over there and check it out, website's just getting up and going. There's not a whole lot of information there, but if you need to get in touch with me, you can go through the website and you can get in touch with me that way. If you want to donate to the cause, you can do it that way as well.
I also have his Cash App and everything in the description below.
Yeah, and guys, we don't take any money from the families to do this. We don't ask for anything. We just go out and we do what's right. And at the end of the day, if someone decides they want to give to us, then fantastic. It helps us tremendously. But we don't ask for anything from anyone. And yeah, go right ahead, Gene, if you want to talk about your website and your links that you got.
Well, I hope people don't look too critically at my website, since I'm supposed to be a computer geek and all that good stuff, because I haven't even finished it yet. But it is rpsearchservice.org. I did at one point have the one with the S on the end of it, but it actually got sniped. So it got pulled out from underneath me, and somebody in Australia owned it for years and years and kept my face, my likeness up there, and my quotes and everything else for years, and I couldn't get it back. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's rpsearchservice.org as it's listed down there on the screen. I had to drop the S, even though it was there at one time.
Right.
Yep. Cam, I know we're running out of time. If you want to take a few questions, man, before we have to go.
Yeah.
One that and I'll let you look at the rest of them, but one that I'd really like to see answered is someone, let me go and gotta find it here. There you go. You just read my mind. Fantastic. Go ahead, Gene. Go ahead and talk about what We See You has asked a great question here.
Okay, well, one of the things I think everybody has discovered if they were a kid and dug a hole in the ground, that whenever you dig the hole out, there's never enough dirt to go back in, or there's too much dirt to go back in. One of the two, depending on what you're burying, right? But what you do is you change the composition of the soil, the compaction. It's been laying there for, a millennia being packed down. And once you dig it up, you change everything about the dirt. You change the moisture content, you change compaction, you change just about everything with it. And under near infrared, which picks up things like moisture and that sort of thing, it is phenomenal, the difference between regular earth and disturbed earth. And I can say that holds true for sand as well. If you go dig in the desert and cover your hole back up, it gives you the same sort of indication. It's not nearly as pronounced, but it still shows. And it's under, I wished I could pop up a picture and I could show you, but under the near infrared, it is pronounced.
Awesome. Did you see another question you guys wanted to answer?
I'm scrolling through them as much as I can.
Let me see.
I can't see any questions, so y'all got the advantage on me.
Yeah, I'll throw them up here. Let's see.
Okay, let me tell you one thing about the mobile command unit. I think a lot of people like to see that because it is really and truly my mobile office. I had my first mobile command unit donated to me. I thought that I wanted a trailer, and then I said, no, I wanted to be motorized. So I had a 25-passenger shuttle bus donated to me. And my partner at the time was Myron Smorenberg, my business partner, and we stripped it and put in a computer server, 50-inch big screen, 3 workstations, the air conditioning, the whole 9 yards, pilot console. It was great. The Texas Rangers loved hanging out in it, in the summertime because it had air conditioning. But it was a beast. The guys in the fire department called it la vache, which is French for the cow. It was a big thing, and it was hard to feed. And I actually drove it to California once, if you can imagine that. So from there, I had to do something different, got rid of that one, and Texas EquiSearch got one of those pop-top vans that was a doggy grooming van, and thought, hey, this is going to be great. So we stripped all the little doggy bathtub and the shower and all that out of there, and built up a single station. It worked much nicer, and that was very generously donated to us by Texas EquiSearch and Mr. Tim Miller. And we used that thing. Gosh, we drove that thing all over the place. We lived out of it for 21 days during Hurricane Harvey when it came ashore in Houston. We started out at ground zero for landfall and moved our way to Houston in it, and we were self-sufficient out of it. It worked great. And then finally, I got the ambulance. And I tell you, this thing is just a godsend. It's got, as you can see, it's got all kinds of storage. It's a Chevy diesel. And there you go. I mean, it is a very nicely appointed office.
Yeah, I was looking to send those pictures over to you. That's what I was looking for. Great.
Yeah, I had them, man. I went and searched them out just now.
Good job. Good job, Cam. And, I ended up getting that one surplus for $100.
Wow.
And, I put a few more $1,000s into it to get that taken care of. I wish I knew, Sack and Fox Nanny, what it would take to get Ellie to call us first. I've been trying to do that for years and haven't been successful. Yeah, now you see more and more our sheriff's office has actually gotten an ambulance as well. They converted theirs over. And it's like driving a big van. And because it's made to haul patients, it's like a Cadillac.
Right.
Very comfortable drive.
That is
so
awesome.
That's our kind of our final, iteration there. And you can see got my aviation radio there in the back, so I can talk to, helicopters and airplanes, and the big screen, that's a 4K monitor. So I can actually play, the video in native 4K format.
got room to roll around.
Got room to roll around. You
Yep.
know, you get two people, and actually, there to the right of that seat is actually a
Ooh.
couch.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, that's actually a couch.
Awesome.
So when you're pulled up to the screen, you can have a gallery behind you so they can look and see what's going on as well. As a matter of fact, Tuesday night, I went out on a search for a 10-year-old boy. And my fire captain and assistant chief sat in those two chairs while I flew and watched the big screen while we flew around looking for that kid.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
that's
is awesome.
fantastic. And that's, you know, like we talked about earlier, that's definitely what we want to bring to First to Deploy. And
Yeah, guys, that's
you know,
what Chris is saving up for right there.
yeah,
We're trying to find out if you know anybody that has a ambulance that might be willing to negotiate with Chris, email him. I put his
Yeah.
email in the description below. I'm sure he'll do whatever it takes to make that happen and get something that's, you know, reliable.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, one of the things that I would suggest to your listeners is that if you know, and literally anybody in the United States, I know that y'all are on the Eastern Seaboard. Hopefully you've got a bunch of folks on the Eastern Seaboard, but if you know anybody in your emergency services district that, you know, where your fire department and your EMS offices are out of, the state typically has a retirement protocol for ambulances. Like, for example, mine, it's a diesel and it's 55 gallons. So it's in Texas, it's $3.95 a gallon. So it takes what, $200 to fill it up.
Ooh.
But if you know anybody in the emergency services offices, the districts, if they retire their ambulances, like ours had to be retired, and it had 118,000 miles on it, which for a diesel is nothing. Diesel will easily go 300,000 miles. So surplus them, they can sell them very cheaply. And I've turned on a couple of folks that have already gotten theirs. Some of them were just outright donated. Some of them were surplused and sold for pennies on the dollar. So if anybody can throw anything Chris's way, it doesn't make any difference whether it's Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, whatever. I bet you Chris would go get it for the right one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we'll
absolutely.
make it.
Yeah, we'll go wherever we need to go to get that in our hands, because that's just the next step in you know, helping people and help find people. That just adds to our equipment and allows me to carry more equipment as well.
And there is something to be said for having your own closed, sterile environment that you can work in. And if you need to lock everybody out, you can, and you can do the image analysis. You can do whatever you need to do. Your planning. You can have your meetings with the coordinators, and it is just a godsend to be able to close that off.
Yeah, and you know, I think that will go far with showing you know, law enforcement in this area that what we're doing is serious. You know, I've already got several contacts that work with local agencies here, and they are doing everything that they can to help me. But you know, we just got to find that ambulance, and if we can do that, it would be fantastic. We will. Okay, so Rita says we've recently got a new EMS, and they've got new ambulance too. So she'll talk to them soon. That would be fantastic. We'd really appreciate that. Amazing. I really would appreciate that. That would be fantastic.
Here you go.
And you know, I do want to talk about something real quick, Gene. You said you had mentioned that Texas EquuSearch had donated one of your mobile command units, and that's Tim Miller is just a great guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. He has done so much for, you know, I guess Gene, and he truly cares about finding missing people. You know, Tim actually, he was the one that helped set me up with you know, getting the near infrared and getting the drone that I needed to fly it. Just a godsend. And I can tell you this, the last words that I heard from that man, and I've not spoke to him since, so I think it says a lot. The last words I heard from him was, hey, let's go out here and bring closure to a family together. And I think that says a lot. I agree. Let's do that. And so I wanted to throw that out there that, you know, Tim he's a fantastic guy.
Did you read
And
what?
Mermaid in the ICU, first off, if you're an ICU nurse, thank you so much for your service, because you are really in the impact zone. I know that. I was a combat medic, so I get it. But retired emergency vehicles work best, and you as a nurse should, you know, you'll be familiar with this. They're kind of already set up. They have a lot of storage in them, and they're typically set up with very heavy duty alternators and voltage converters. I actually bought, you know, a generator and this, that, and the other thing, because my other 2 units had it. And the inverter was powerful enough that it runs everything in the thing for, you know, just all I got to do is leave it idle. So that's why we kind of focus on the ambulance, is because it's just typically already set up, and it really does fit in the scene a lot better. When you pull up and you're, you know, there's a bunch of cop cars and fire trucks, and you pull up in an ambulance, everybody goes, oh, hey, you know, even though it's marked, it's going to be FTD, it's going to be marked that way. It's still, it's you fit in, you know, you want to fit in with the people that you're working with and trying to do the work for. RVs are just, you know, they're okay. They're great. I mean, when you don't have anything else, you bet. But, you know, it'd be the goal is to get the ambulance.
That's right. I had, before we get off here tonight, I thought this would be a good time to kind of talk about what our goals are right now with moving forward with what Natasha and Chris and Nita Diver and the PIs, we've got an idea we're working on. And I've been kind of showing a little bit or hinting at it through these past few shows, but I'll tell you guys kind of what we're working on. We're going to try to work on starting a nonprofit to it'll be like the FEMA for the missing, I guess. We'll be like a dispatch to have all these great, I guess, relationships we've made through this with all the divers and you know, the PIs and Chris, and you know, we could be PR people to help with that. We just want to be able to have families that have I guess a really I guess if they don't need all of it together, they might need just a diving team, or might just, so we could dispatch that out to them. I think it's needed on the East Coast over here. I think that we could start small and grow big. But that's kind of the plans we've been working on. Natasha, our mod and manager of our channel, has been trying to put some stuff together. She's working on helping Chris with some things too, to help him out to get his organization off the ground and just be really successful. We believe in this cause. We believe in these things that are going to help with these missing cases. And we just want to keep being progressive through keep growing. It's not going to be perfect. It's a long learning road, but this is our ideas. And so I just wanted to kind of maybe announce that and see, Gene, if what you thought about that, and if you thought that was a good idea.
Look, there's never enough attention given to the missing. You could have 100 of those organizations that you just described, and there still wouldn't be enough.
Right.
When you look at the number, look at the FBI numbers of the number of people that actually go missing a year. It's incredible.
Right.
Mermaid, that's
wow.
Like,
oh, that's big.
I don't even know what to, like, I'm at a loss for words on that one, because, you know, me and Gene have talked about this several times, and while the ambulance is, you know, the end all be all, it is not a must have.
True.
it is something that you strive for. But as you heard Gene talk about during this this live, you know, he's had a dog groomer van, a
That one, call sign Puppy Feet 1. Yeah, that's yeah.
yeah. Actually, I don't know if you did mention that one.
Yeah.
But the airport transport van, and now the ambulance. So it's been a stepping stone for Gene.
Very
I
well.
would
Could be a
be
good one.
I would be delighted. I'm don't
This
even
right
know
here
what
is
else to
why
say.
we love you guys. This right here, I know a lot of channels say they got the best subs and stuff, but here people have really came together and shown us that, before I started this, I'd lost a little bit of faith in humanity. But when I came into this and saw the people that kind of rally around us over here, it's awesome.
Yeah,
And it's
amazing.
restored my faith in it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, Mermaid, get in touch with Chris and y'all see what y'all can work out. I mean, that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
that's amazing.
that's
Yeah, thank you so
absolutely
much.
just yeah, I don't even know what to say. If you want to, Natasha, if you want to post my email back in the chat,
She did. She's
okay.
Already on it, buddy.
She's on it.
Great. Great. And if you just shoot me an email real quick, I can, I'll send you back my phone number. We can talk and, try to work this thing out, whatever we need to do. But I really appreciate it. It would really help. It really would.
There you go. Yeah, thank you so much. That's what it's all about, guys. Thank you so much. I know from experience, I know the people that we have worked with through this go out and do these things for these missing cases free of charge most of the time. They go out and they use their expertise and they work their butts off to try to bring answers. And that's the kind of people that we like to be around, because we don't, you go out here because you have a passion for it. You want to help. And to see, for instance, I can say this with Tegan Dougherty's case. His dad called us from Alaska, even though, he had been missing since October 10th, and they found him when November, I can't remember the exact date, but he was missing 40 days.
Yeah.
But to be able to say and be a part of that and call him and say, look, or he was so invested in his son from that far away that it really, to be able to help in that was amazing. There was another thing I can speak for us too with Lexi Dykes, who is now missing again. Guys, we helped locate her. She called into one of our live streams that we were doing about her. It was crazy. She had an active Amber Alert. So I wanted to talk about this for a minute to bring awareness to this. So I'm guessing when she was found, they had took her into custody and they put her into foster care. She was sent to Memphis, and she is now missing out of Memphis. It was Hawkins County. Please keep your eyes open, because I'm sure she's trying to make her way home.
And we had tried to reach out to her multiple times since we had initially talked to her, and we hadn't been able to get a hold of her. And today, when we found out that this happened, we reached out again, and actually her phone number, somebody else had gotten her phone number. So obviously she lost it. So
we called her phone number, and I was so excited when somebody answered it. And I was like, Lexi, and she's like, who is this? And she said, I just got this number today. But, please, guys, we put it in our community section about her, all the information that they have. Be aware, search your own backyard, your own states. There's missing everywhere that you don't even know about. In the state of Virginia, where I live right now, it's 430 missing children. That's just children.
Yeah, just children.
Yeah. And yeah, Cam, I agree. That's it's what it's all about, man. Coming together, and I am so glad that I was able to get in touch with you and come onto your channel, because, the relationship that we've been able to build has been great, and I think it's going to continue to evolve. And this really is what it's all about: putting the information out there, showing people what we have to offer, and finding people that are willing to help like that, that's just fantastic.
Right.
So I mean, I'll end it at that, man. I think, you know, we've talked about some great stuff tonight, and
It has. We have. And Gene, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
If you need anything from us, just reach out. If you email me, you can email us at crackingcases@gmail.com. I'll give you my number if you ever need to holler at us.
One of the things that I would like to say, especially to Mermaid in the ICU, is that when you donate, that puts you literally, you've heard of 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon, but that puts you 1 degree away from every mission that Chris goes on and that we go on. We're
Right.
only 1 degree away because you make a difference when you donate.
yeah,
right.
absolutely. Like I'm telling you, I'm ecstatic, guys. Like that's just fantastic. It really is. And
That's
it
amazing to
almost,
be a part of
telling
that.
you, it does. It almost brings you to tears, man. You got to
Yes.
hold it back because it's amazing. It's amazing because I know what a difference that's going to make. I know, I can see it in my mind, and I know what a difference that will make. And I know that out in the community, it's going to help find someone. And
Y'all are helping
that's just what
Chris.
it's all about.
Y'all are helping Chris. He's right now, he works a full-time job. His goals are to be able to do this full-time with the drones. And this is a step closer to him being able to come closer to being just doing everything he can for the missing. So we appreciate that so much. Thank you guys for being a part of this channel. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to the great things that these people do. We always end this show with prayer, and we're going to pray and we'll get out of here, guys. So, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the people that come together. Thank you for the blessings that you placed in Chris's life tonight. Thank you, Lord, again, for these people that rally around and really care for these missing children and missing people. Let us do our due diligence in everything we do to help bring them home. Lord, we ask for a hedge of protection around Summer and all the other missing children and bring answers to these cases. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Guys,
Amen.
we really appreciate you. And if there's not anything else, I guess we'll cut it short right now.
But
Y'all
Be
good?
safe.
Yeah.
thanks, guys, for being here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much. This was a good interview, and we really thank you for letting us do this interview with you guys tonight. But we will catch y'all on the next one. I don't even know if we have anything planned, but I will let you know as soon as I do, guys. All right, remember, at the end of the day, everybody wants justice.
But justice doesn't have to be carried out with hate.
See you on the next one, guys.